Hey guys, welcome to week 5 of Afternoon Adventures. We have some exciting adventures for you this week, and I am really pumped up to go to some new places with you to learn some new things. All this week's adventures are sponsored by Prodigy Learning Center here in College Station. They're an educational, dual language childcare center seeking to provide a nurturing and engaging environment for children ages 6 weeks to 12 years old. Check them out on Facebook at Prodigy Learning Center. All right, it's time to go on another afternoon adventure.
Howdy everybody, and welcome to Base Camp Farms. We are a specialty cut flower farm in College Station, Texas. We are located just south of College Station in the little community of Milliken, and we grow specialty cut flowers. So our flowers are the ones that you would see in the floral industry, flower shops, and grocery stores. So these plants are a little bit different than the ones that you see in your everyday gardens and in your landscaping. These flowers are specific varieties that are for cut flowers. So they are longer typically, and they have a longer vase life. So these flowers are ones that you would give for your mom for Mother's Day or Easter. Today is Easter Sunday, and so we've had a busy week of making bouquets to sell to our customers for Easter. So our flower varieties, we are growing right now. We have about 20,000 plants out in our fields. And so I wanted to show you a little bit of what we have right now, and then we'll go take a quick tour. So our flower varieties, we are transitioning from our cold season to our warm season. So here in South Texas, we don't have 4 seasons. It's pretty much just hot or cold and somewhere in between. And so our cold season flower varieties are some of my favorites. So this year we grew delphiniums and tulips and daffodils, ranunculus and anemones, snapdragons, stock, dianthus, and larkspur. That was another favorite. So I'll show you just a little bit of what we have right now. And then our warm season is our sunflowers. Those are our biggest crops. We do zinnias and marigolds, cosmos, and a whole lot of other stuff. So real quick, so these are called delphiniums. So these are one of my favorites. There's not many blue flowers in the flower world, and so these are called delphiniums. They come in light blue and dark blue, and these are called linear flowers because they're like a line. And so these are light blue color varieties. These are one of my favorites, and we have lots of those. And then over here we have our dark blue. This is also another favorite. And so they come in several different colors. They have pink and white, and these are the ones that we grew here at our farm this year. And so we have light blue and dark blue. Let's see, we also have, this is called dianthus. So this is our light pink dianthus. And then we also have a magenta dianthus. And these dianthuses are great fillers. They what complement our big flowers. So we also have snapdragons. This is kind of a funky stem, but it's fully open. We'll get out 2 of them. So these are called snapdragons. So they have a really pretty white and pink, and these are also another linear flower. And these also come in lots of colors. We have red and purple and burgundy. So our sunflowers, these are our biggest crop. So we grew 18,000 of these last year, and our sunflowers are only here whenever it's the warmest. So from April to November to Thanksgiving, that's our goal of when we can have our sunflowers. So these are our biggest crops. So we grow 2 different varieties. We actually grow 4 to 5, depending on the year, different varieties. So these are what are blooming right now. And this is called Vincent's Choice, and this is called Vincent's Fresh. And so our sunflowers are different. So as a part of the specialty cut flowers, we grow flowers for the floral industry. And so these ones have minimal pollen. So the sunflowers that you would see out in the field or that farmers will grow for sunflower seeds, those have a lot of pollen. And so for our cut flower purposes, we don't want a lot of pollen, which can just kind of make a mess in the floral arrangements and on your home tables, and so we don't want that. And so these specific varieties have been hybridized. They've been bred over time to just have very little pollen. So Vincent's Choice, and this is called Vincent's Fresh, and they're actually a little bit of a smaller head. You might be familiar with the big mammoth ones, and these are just a little bit smaller that can be used in bouquets. So we also have Larkspur, which is another one of my favorites. And this one is also another linear flower, but this has a lovely wildflower look. So these only bloom for a very short season, but they are one of my favorites by far, and they come in lots of different colors, from light purple to dark purple to lavender to pink, light pink, dark pink. So we love having these around for our early spring arrangements. Let's see here. So I think we're gonna take a little break now, and we're gonna head out to our fields, and I'll show you our sunflower fields. Welcome to our sunflower field. So this is one of our sunflower field of about 5. And so last year we grew 18,000, and this year we were trying to double our numbers. So we start planting them around February 1st. To Valentine's Day. So somewhere in early February, that's when we are able to start growing our sunflowers. And so what we do, so we use 100-foot rows by about 3 feet wide. And so we can fit about somewhere between 600 and 1,000 sunflowers per row. So you can see behind me that these are our Vincent's Choice sunflowers, and we pick them all by hand. So as they are able to start blooming, that's when we start harvesting. And so they bloom over about, one row will bloom over about a week period. And so what we have to do is every day we have to come out here and harvest, so that way the bugs, and if we have bad storms come through, we want to be able to protect our flowers and to harvest them so that way we can sell them, and that way they're not damaged. And so what we do is we actually come through and we hold, it's all done by hand. We don't use machines for this part. So we strip the leaves off. So these sunflowers have really big leaves. And so whenever we harvest them, the leaves will actually take nutrients before the flower. And so we want the flower to bloom first. And so what we have to do is take off all of the leaves. So we normally use our gloves, but I didn't bring gloves out here today. But I hold the head of the sunflower, and I just strip it straight down, and that takes off all of our leaves. So then I use my big knife. This is called a sickle knife, a Japanese harvesting knife, and it's very, very sharp. And so we have to be very careful with how we do this. But I just use it and I cut it straight off. And so now our flower is ready to go. And this one has actually already been stripped. So I'll cut that one too, and we just go down the line. We'll put these in a bucket of water, just like so. And so you can see all of the yellow that's poking up. So all of those are going to be harvested this evening and into tomorrow morning. We'll get them all harvested and get ready to go sell them. So these are our Vincent's Choice. And then we'll come over here, Jordan, and we will show them our Vincent's Fresh. Let's see here, let's come over here. This one we've already harvested from this week. And then this, guys, this is a new field that's ready to go, a new row that's ready to go. So we'll come through and we'll harvest them all. And yeah, we like to beat the bugs to them. So can anybody tell me what are the 3 biggest flower holidays every year? Does anybody know? So we have our first one in February, that is Valentine's Day. And then we have Easter in April. And then in May, we have Mother's Day. And so that's why we try to grow as many flowers as we can during that spring the springtime, so that way we can try to sell as many flowers during those holidays. So during the summer months, we kind of slow down a little bit just because it's hot and people are traveling. And then in the fall, whenever we have Texas A&M football games and more events and more weddings, we grow a lot of flowers for the fall again as well. Thanksgiving is a really big holiday for us. And then in Christmas time, by Christmas time, we typically don't have a lot of flowers in our fields just because it's nice and cold and we've had a frost by Christmas. And so we do Christmas workshops. We make beautiful Christmas greenery wreaths here at our farm. But we are actually planting. So we can plant year round here in South Texas. And so we're never done. So in the fall time, we actually plant our winter plants. So between October, November, December, that's when we start planting our winter plants, which will bloom anytime between January and May, depending on the flower variety. So we plant about 30 totally different flower varieties inside those main groups. And so we're always planting something. We're always flipping our beds. We use mushroom compost, which are like vitamins to our soil. So our soil is what we want to keep really healthy. And so we do testing about once or twice a year through Texas A&M. We actually take bags of soil to the Texas A&M lab and they test it for us and they tell us what vitamins, what nutrients we need to give to our soil so that we can grow beautiful flowers. So there's lots of science in farming. And can anybody tell me what other crops farmers grow? Does anybody know what other crops farmers grow, both plant-wise and we can do meat-wise as well? So plants, so other plants that farmers grow are cotton, corn, wheat, soybeans. Let's see here, we do vegetables. There's lots of vegetable farmers, and so they grow tomatoes and lettuce and potatoes and okra and squash and zucchini. So those are vegetable farmers. And then we also do meat farmers. So meat farmers are ones that grow cattle and pork, and we have sheep and lambs. We do pigs and let's see, am I missing one? Chickens and eggs. So yeah, so there's lots of farmers and all of them use different science techniques to grow their crops really well. So it's really, really wonderful. It is difficult. Mother Nature likes to throw curveballs at us all the time, but it's very rewarding for us. I absolutely love it. It is my favorite. And obviously we grow beautiful flowers. So just wanted to show you real quick what is in my tool belt right now. So I obviously have my harvesting tools. So I use my knife and I use my clippers. So both of these are really sharp and we have to keep them nice and sharp. So in my tool belt, I also have white clips. So these are used in our fields. We have little hoops that we have to use whenever it is cold. We have to put little blankets on them. So this is actually an irrigation piece that goes onto my irrigation drip lines. We'll show you here in a second of what a new bed looks like. Yeah, so it's totally full. These are called landscaping pins. So all around our property we have landscaping fabric, and that's used to keep the landscaping fabric down on the ground and from blowing in the wind. So yeah, so we'll go show you a few flowers in the field right now. The new field that we just are planting right now, between last week and this week, we started planting them. And so these are little bitty plants. And so we have snapdragons and dianthus, and we're gonna have scabioses and cosmos. And so these are the last of our spring crops. And so you can see how they're itty bitty little plants, and we use drip lines to give them water whenever they need it. And so most of these plants will grow for 60 to 100 days. It takes them that long from going from a little bitty plant to a great big plant that will give us a flower that we can then cut and harvest. Yeah, so we'll go show you some. Oh, I had one more question for you. Can you tell me what 5 things plants need to grow? Can you tell me? Any ideas? So plants need space and soil and air and water and light to all grow. All right, I want to show you real quick inside one of our greenhouses. So these are, it's technically called a tunnel, a high tunnel, and that just means that it does not have mechanical ventilation. It does not have air conditioning or heating, and so that's something that we have to do with roll-up sides and kind of windows, and this is just a screen door. So this way we can have still some airflow coming in. So come on in and let me show you real quick. So inside here is Lisianthus. So they're still really, really small, but we grow in here in crates for two reasons. So number one is that in this area of our land, it has a really high clay soil base. And so with that clay, that just means that it stays really wet for long periods of time. And so with that, it's too long for our plants to be really healthy, and then we start to have lots of fungus issues. And so by having the crates, they're elevated, and so they are able to drain the water much better, which gives us a much healthier plant. And so we don't have to worry about them getting sick on us, and they're able to have a flower. So Lisianthus are actually our longest growing plant that we grow. So they take 7 months from itty bitty little seed to about a plant that's this tall with a beautiful flower, and they're actually called the Texas Rose. They are native to Texas, over in like the Big Bend area in the mountains, and so they like the cooler temperatures, but they actually do really well in the heat as well. So we're growing them in here. We have about 2,500 that we are growing in here in these crates, and so they're gonna bloom between June and July. So they take 7 months. So our sunflowers that we showed you, they are the shortest ones. So the sunflowers take somewhere between 45 and 60 days to bloom, which is about 2 months instead of 7 months. But we love both, so that's why we grow both. Yeah, so we're gonna go show you a couple more flowers. All right, I wanted to show you real quick just what it looks like in our fields. So these are larkspur on my right, and this is called dianthus on our left. And so you can see how the larkspur gets really tall and bushy. And so we come through and we harvest these almost every day. So this is called a mix. So we actually have a mix of colors. And so these that are already fully blooming, they actually have too short of a stem for me to sell. So we're actually leaving them for our bees. So we love our bees, and we try to feed them and give them flowers to have nectar from, so they can go on and make honey. So we have our larkspur over here. So these are our little hoops that I was talking about that I use my little clips on. And so we actually have some white frost cloth here, and that's in case we have freezes. So whenever it gets really cold, does anybody know what our freezing temperature is? So 32 degrees Fahrenheit is our freezing temperature. So anytime it starts to get really below 35 or 40, depending on the weather, I like to cover our plants. And so each row has a blanket, a frost cloth, that we put over it and try to keep our plants nice and warm. And so with those blankets, it gives them about a 9-degree warmth. And so usually it's good enough, and we're able to make it through the night just fine. So this is larkspur, and then this is dianthus. So we have a light pink, and we have a magenta, and a neon, it's like neon cherry, neon purple. So these have been great sellers for us, and they're very prolific, so they make lots and lots of flowers. So we'll have one more stop in our greenhouse, and we'll be all done. All right, we are in our other greenhouse, and so this one is called our propagation greenhouse. This is where we start all of our little seeds, all of our little corms and bulbs. We start them all in here before we put them out in the crop. And so that is why we start them in here, because we can control the environment. So typically we transplant. So we start everything inside in little bitty trays, and then we let them grow for anywhere from 2 weeks to 8 weeks. And then they're able to get big enough to go outside, and they can stand the rain, the wind. They just do a lot better. So we actually have 2 different trays that we use. So these are called 288s. There's 288 little holes in this tray, and then this one is 128. So you can tell the difference in the number of holes. So my favorite that I typically use are the 128s. And so back here I can show you, these are some Lisianthus ones that we grew, and we're actually gonna plant these out tomorrow out in our greenhouse. So you can see just the little bitty babies, and they have beautiful root balls. These are the roots right here, and so they are ready to go out into our crates. So this color, let's see, it's labeled. Let's see what color we have. So this one is a rose, so it's kind of a deep pink. So these will be blooming. You can see how little they are. So these will be blooming in June and July. So they still have about 2 to 3, 4 months before they'll actually bloom for us. And then these guys are called scabiosas. So these are one of my favorites, and these will be blooming in June. But they are nice and big, and they have actually been in our greenhouse since about late January. So that's about 8 weeks. So it's time for them to go outside and start growing. So yeah, so this is where we go. So we start everything on this side, and we actually have automatic misters. And so that way the water can mist them somewhere between 3 and 4 times a day. And then whenever they get a little bit bigger, we'll move them to the middle side and then underneath our lights. And so that way they can just start getting ready to go outside. So that's the end of our tour. I hope you learned a little bit about growing cut flowers. You know, we hope that you love flowers and love vegetables, and they're very easy to do. And so maybe now in late spring, between now and May, that you can start learning how to grow. There's lots of great YouTube channels and books, and the main thing is just to try and start, and just let me know if you have any questions at all. And hopefully in the future we'll have some fun events here at our farm. We'll have some workshops and classes, and we'll do pick your own. So one of our specialties here at our farm is that we do pick your own bouquets. So you can actually come to our farm probably in the fall, hopefully, and cut your own bouquet and enjoy our flowers and come and visit us. So thank you guys for joining us. Have a great day. Bye-bye for now.